Hello, everyone. As we continue our celebration of Black excellence at the University of Waterloo, here with my co-founder, my friend Sadig. If you want to take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for either participating or joining our videos and watching what's going on. And we're hoping to basically not empower you, but to somehow motivate you to joining the Alliance, because I believe we all have something to give and something that we can contribute. So we hope that you do come and provide whatever gift that is. To introduce myself, my name is Sadig. I grew up, I would say, in Kitchener. I wasn't born here, but I spent the majority of my life in KW. I went to elementary school here all the way throughout high school. And then I did my undergrad at the University of Waterloo as well. When you find it something you like, you stay. So I love this town so much, I decided to also stay and work here. So traveled through a lot of places, but this is home for me. This is the one place I've been here the longest. And, all my friends, everything is pretty much established here for me.
Nice, thank you. So you're a lifer.
Exactly.
Now, I know you did your undergrad here and you're employed here. Was there ever a time where you worked elsewhere? Or did you kind of roll straight from undergrad right into employment?
I was always a hard worker. I think my first job was shoveling snow and cutting grass when I was 8 or 9. I have never not worked. And then when I was in university, I loved being in the athletics department. It was the one place where, you can go. You don't necessarily need to know the people that are in the activity spaces with you, but you just form a bond, whether it was over a game of basketball or sometimes volleyball. Even badminton, open rec, I'd participate. And through that, I made a lot of connections with students that did go UW. Being somebody who's local, I had my own separate group of friends that didn't go there. And so the athletics department actually helped me make connections with students that do go to the university who are on the same timeline with me as within like exams or whatever it is that we're doing. So I was able to make new connections that way through the athletics department. And then again, being there so often, I decided why not just try and apply and get a job here as well. And you know what, it worked out and I'm still here today.
Sure, it definitely worked out. And that's the beauty of sports. You have a chance to interact with so many different people from so many different walks of life and so many different cultures. And having that luxury right here in your backyard to have that, buffer between your friends and family at home, but also your co-peers and students and friends on campus has been very nice. And I love what you're doing within the department. You've been around, you've seen a lot of changes, and kind of what's your vision moving forward with the department itself from that standpoint?
You're, there has been a lot of positive changes. You're absolutely right. And things have been getting better and better. And somebody might say, well, this is really good what we have right now. For me, good is never good enough. If there's space to improve, let's explore it, right? It doesn't have to happen today. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but at least let's try to work towards it. My vision for the department, I would say, is right off the bat, I would say I would love to see more BIPOC representation. Especially women, whether that's working with us or whether as athletes or even just general users, participants coming into our activity spaces. The athletics department just has so much to offer. And I believe if the messaging gets out, we would attract members of the BIPOC community, again, whether it's just to participate, student staffing or even full-time staffing. I'd love to see more of that. And again, it has been getting better and it is good if you compare it to what it was, but good is not good enough.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. Always striving to be the best version of yourself. So kind of, what motivates you on a daily basis to be the best version of Sadig?
Man, I'd say my mom. She's a special woman, and I think by the time she was in her early 20s, she's probably done more than a lot of us would do in an entire lifetime. And so to have somebody like that who's always supporting you and motivating you and telling you, when you fail, she's there to pick you up. And when you're doing really well, she's there to remind you, don't get ahead of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing better. Right. You know what I mean? And because of who she is, I believe that, right? So having her always in my corner When I get knocked down, she's there to help me out.
Mhm.
And when I'm up again, she's there to remind me that there's more to do. So I'd say she is my motivation. And for me, family is very strong. Family for me is the one thing that I think stayed consistent throughout my whole life. Like I said, we've lived in so many different places. We've seen and met so many different people, but the one consistent thing in my life was always my family. So that's what motivates me the most.
Sure, I could tell you had that certain glow when you mentioned your mother. So from one mama's boy to another, definitely have that respect for our mama, what they do. You have any siblings, Sadiq?
I've got a lot of siblings.
Yeah.
So here in Canada, man, I better get this right off the bat.
Don't worry, nobody's judging you.
I've got three sisters, and I have two brothers. One of them older than me, and the youngest is a brother as well. I
Mhm.
have a sibling. The one that's most likely is the sister that's right after me, and I would say that is the reasons because growing up, I was always there teaching her how to read and write.
Mhm.
I got her into sports early. At one point, she was actually better than me in track and field, and I considered myself a good athlete.
Kudos to you for admitting that. Most
Oh,
men would have been like, I've been dusting her off, but good
yeah,
for
whoever wants to challenge her, her name's Amelia. Look her up. She'll come for you. Don't worry. Don't worry. She'll come for you. But she's extremely athletic. On top of that, extremely intelligent. But at the same time, she'll never make you feel any lesser about anything. So can't remember the original question, but whatever it was, the answer is my younger sister. Oh, how many siblings do I have? Yes. And I feel like I described who my favorite one of them was, which is fair. You're allowed to have favorites.
Well, again, good on you for admitting that too, because this might be watched by your siblings and they might come for your head. So,
Hey, you know what? If they're not my favorite, that means they just got some work to do. That's all.
That's awesome for sure. So, you mentioned mom being motivation. Like, I want to dig a little bit deeper. Like, I feel like I know you, but I don't know you. I know you have roots in the Sudan, but I want you to talk more about that kind of, what brought your family here to Waterloo and setting up shop here in Canada. And I know you've done a ton of things in the, Sudanese community that's in Waterloo. Can you expand upon both of those things for me?
um, so yeah, no, yeah, it's absolutely been a journey. And I don't see it as having ended just yet. I feel I'm just in another phase, and I'm getting used to it, and then something else will come around the corner. But I was born in Saudi. We're Sudanese. My mother was a soldier growing up, and she would go on tours for maybe 2 months at a time or so. So imagine as a young boy, your mother's returning in military fatigue, assault rifle, side piece, and then you're just, you're staring at her, happy that she's back. Right away, when you think about gender equality and the power imbalances and whatnot, the way I was never raised to see women as lesser than men, right? Because of the example that she would provide, right? My father died very early.
Sorry to hear that.
Tragic. He died very, very early. We don't talk too much about it. It is a touchy subject, so
Sure.
I won't go on. But she got remarried, and then from there, we found ourselves at a refugee camp. A lot of the Sudanese people in this community are actually from that same camp. It's in Kenya. And some of us joke around about it. Some of them are young, so when I meet their parents, I do talk to them about it. And then, they're like, oh yeah, you guys were the little kids that were doing this and that. It's like, yes, that was us. And so it is nostalgic in a way. And then we're able to, as a community, kind of reflect back to where we were and where we are now. And, there were happy times back then, although we were in a difficult situation. Now there's, moments that aren't as happy, but we're in a better situation. So
Mhm.
it's never full. It's never always 100% bad and always 100% good. I think it's always somewhere in the middle, and it's just always about your perspective. So some of the work I did do with the Sudanese community, I would say, was earlier on in my early years of university, and a little bit before that as well. We did a lot of work with just trying to increase the amount of Black students, not just Sudanese students, but BIPOC members that are graduating from high school. And this is just to graduate from high school, not to enter university or college, which would have been the ultimate goal. But the graduation rates at the time were extremely low. This was around 2003, 4, 5. And so we embarked on a journey. There was a community in Sunnydale called the Lighthouse Group. We did a lot of work with them. Again, just trying to raise awareness that there is systematic issues here. There's a reason why a certain group of students aren't achieving as well as another group of students. And it can't just be because of who they are. There has to be something else to this. So some of that social work I've done did start early. University has been tough, so I did take a hiatus, and then you repeat what you get used to. And so it has been a pause for me. But then when I started seeing all the social justice stuff happening, especially in the States with the Black Lives Matter movement picking up steam, and just starting to really pay attention, not just to Black Lives Matter, but the injustices that are happening to the BIPOC communities, it's almost like a spark was lit and a fire, started slowly raging again. And you know what? I said, something has to be done. I can't just keep watching these images, feeling bad about it, going to sleep and hoping I forget, because another one happens tomorrow or the next day, and then it just builds on the frustration that I had. So, with me, you, Jackie, and Rolly getting together, Rolly providing great leadership, first of all, to even give us the space and to say, this is an issue and this is something we should talk about and this is something we should try to fix. It was really easy to re-engage in that social justice again. And so that's something I've been really proud of lately.
Good. And obviously forming the alliance is something that we really didn't plan on. We just kind of took the reins and ran with it. And, how do you feel the progress has been so far?
I'll be honest, I feel it's been great. I'm not going to give any names, but when a specific team who has 0 Black people in it, we get we get a message from them and they want to join us. And because they want to learn about issues that the BIPOC community goes through, for me, I didn't even know what to say. It's not like they had a team member in there that they were able to talk to and understand what was going on. They just took it upon themselves. They learned that this alliance was happening and they wanted to join us. For me, I thought that for me was something amazing. I thought that was a great achievement. And again, if something is good, we can always make it better. And so I do just want to see this growing in scope. And we are an action-based group. So, we said we're first going to educate within the department and then the campus as a whole. And then let's move out to the community. Just being a student, you can live happy in your university bubble and forget that all these things are going on around you, but you're eventually going to graduate and you're going to have to go outside the university community. Unless you're fortunate like me, you can get a job and stay forever. You are going to have to move outside of the community and live some of those experiences that you thought, was over with. And unfortunately, it isn't. So there's a lot of work to be done. And I'm glad we started, I guess. That's what I want to say.
As am I. It's been an amazing journey for me too. And I appreciate the work we're doing. I love the way it's going. I definitely don't want it to stop. Obviously we started this whole celebration of Black excellence for Black History Month specifically. How are we going to keep that going? Because, once March 1st hits, the rest of the world's going to be like, oh, back to
Black history is over,
See you next February, right?
It's as if things only happen in February for Black people. I don't know, maybe it's to do with Valentine's Day and stuff like that. I'm just going off script now. But anyways, the concept of Black History Month for me was shocking, I guess I would say, coming from a country called Sudan, which translates to the land of the Black, right? For me, history is history. So when we came here and then February came around, it's like, oh, it's Black History Month. I'm seeing pictures and decorations around the classroom and on TV. I'm seeing all these contributions by Black people and this. And I was just, well, where was this the whole time,
Right.
And then just like that, it was over. I was like, okay, so we're on a timer. I would love to see the work continue. I would love to see what we're doing continue. Does that mean maybe once a month, highlight somebody or something? I'm not sure. I don't think any one of us has the answer, the entire answer, but I think collaboratively we can work on something and figure out what the best way to move forward is. But I'd definitely love to see what we're doing in February continue throughout the year. And again, maybe slowly move away from the term Black History Month maybe not today, but in the future, right? I honestly think that has to be where we need to go.
I feel you on that one. And just kind of taking something that Jackie said when we interviewed her, she talked about running the 4x1. Changes happen over the course of 100 years, and now it's our turn to carry the torch from those from the civil rights movement to lead to the next generation, to pass it off to them. So it's definitely something that we have to stay diligent with. Otherwise, it will just fade in the sand, right?
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
think
go ahead.
I think the other thing too is you have to be bold in asking for what you want and demanding for what you want. If it's something that's equitable and you see if something's inequitable and you see one group being treated one way and another isn't, it doesn't matter which group you belong to. I think we all have the obligation to stand up for the person or the group facing injustice. And I think that is how we move forward. And it is happening. That's what the Alliance is. It's not a group of BIPOC members alone trying to educate non-BIPOC members. It's all of us working together. Some of the research we're doing, even I'm learning some of the stuff for the first time too. And so, yes, we're benefiting from the group that was done, or from the work that was done previously, but it is our turn now to also contribute so that the ones after us can benefit from something as well. Even if we don't see results right away, it's the person who's after us will see it and will benefit from it, and we'll be thankful that they are where they are.
And hopefully what we're doing isn't considered Black history, it's just history.
History. History.
Something Absolutely. I've learned recently myself, just trying to take that stigma of, okay, Black history is only in February, it's outside of the norm. No, this is what actually happened. This is the truth. And that's something I'm really trying to push forward with my son and everybody I talk to in regards to Black History Month. Well, no, it's not outside the norm. This is just facts and information that you weren't accessing. You didn't have anybody teaching you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a fringe concept. That's what it feels like, and we only talk about it in February.
Yeah, for sure.
So, no, absolutely.
And there's been a lot going on the last year, obviously, with everything that happened in the U.S. Do you feel like people have treated you differently ever since the awareness has increased? And now because it's Black History Month and now everybody's all receptive, they're listening to us, we have their attention now. Do you feel like people are treating you a little differently?
Yes and no. When the George Floyd murder happened, I received a lot of text messages, phone calls, messages on Teams from friends or even just acquaintances that I've known. And a lot of them know my background and my story and how involved I was with the social justice movement. And so they wrote, it was almost an apology to me, but at the same time, it was, okay, now I see what you were talking about. I remember, I'd have some conversations with friends before all of this started, and I'd get asked, why do you always make this about black and white and black and white? And I just said, because this whole thing is about black and white, and I'd be accused of making people uncomfortable at our gatherings. We would go, let's say, for a meal with a group of friends, and I'd bring up a topic. It's like, you're always ruining the mood. What's going on? I was like, but this is my reality. Yes, I'm ruining your mood right now, but this is my reality. So that has definitely changed the way they interact with me. When we do talk about these events that are happening, it's no longer, why do you have to bring this up? You're killing the vibe. It's, no, you're right. And, we looked into it, and they're doing their own research too. And so it's no longer something that's just created in my mind. They now know it is a reality for a lot of people who look like me, and it is a priority. It is life and death. Getting stopped, for example, I'd say, yeah, I got stopped. And the first question would be, well, were you speeding? Did you not have your seatbelt on? No, I was at a gas station pumping gas, and they pulled up and asked for my license and registration. It's like, what? Are you sure? I was like, I'm 100% sure. It happened to me. And to them, it's just something they can't even imagine, right? And so from all of the exposure that we're seeing on TV and on the internet, and that's the other thing too, the narrative is no longer just controlled by the news organizations. With the internet, you have everybody is now a potential reporter, right? You have different perspectives. You have video that's unedited, that's raw, and it's out there, and you decide for yourself what you're seeing. And so there's that control over the media is loosening, and I think that's what's helping advance this movement, right?
It's undeniable.
Yeah.
You can't deny it, right? I was reading a book, I believe it was written by Ibram X. Kendi, called How to Be Anti-Racist, and he talked about being visibly invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's no longer the case, because now we have video proof. There's evidence. There's no more, ah, well, he made that up. He said, she said. Nope. It's right there in front of your face. You can't deny it.
I think what breaks my heart the most about this is anytime we see a video like that, of something that the video comes out, let's say after the person has already been arrested or whatever, it comes out months later, and then the statement that was given versus what we actually see on the video are completely different. I feel good because that person is going to get vindicated, but what about when when none of us had smartphones, smart camera phones, sorry, what, all of those people that were convicted of stuff they actually didn't do? It's just, it hurts to think what the numbers can be, right? And so, again, we're getting to a better place, and good is not good enough. Let's keep improving.
I hear that. So, you talked about your parents, sorry, your mom, excuse me, your siblings, what's kind of Sadig's end game? Where do you see yourself 5, 10 years from now? What are you working towards?
What am I working towards? My family back home would like to say, you better get your butt back here. But like I said, for me, Canada has been home. I don't think I've seen a better country, and I've lived in many countries. Racism is not something unique to North America. Injustices is not something unique to North America. You can be in a country called the land of the Black, and you will have one Black versus another Black, you know what I mean? But how we approach problems over here versus how problems are approached over there, I would much rather my kids grow up here, right? And I'm at an age right now where I can reflect back on my childhood and say, yes, I do miss growing up with cousins and friends and this and that. But let's be honest, I think I had it way better being here. And once I become a father, that's something I would also want for my kids. I would want them to experience this lifestyle and not the other. So what the end game is, only God knows where we're going to end. But each day I wake up, I try to do something that gets me closer to whatever that end game is.
I hear that.
Trying to be as political as possible right now.
Is your girlfriend listening to you right now? It hurts some now.
Staying political with my answers.
Fair enough, for sure.
Oh man.
So, you've moved around a lot, you've accomplished a lot, you've experienced a lot, you have a lot more in store. If you could put your finger on one thing that you are most proud of, what would that be?
One thing I'm most proud of, I think our ability as a family to be tenacious people. You were frozen for a bit. Did we get that?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes. It's one thing I'd be proud of. Okay. The thing I'd be proud of the most is it's not just me. It's my family's ability to be tenacious. We came from a society where you would say, you had it all. We went to absolutely nothing, and then we were able to slowly rebuild. And so our ability to not give up during difficult times and understand that this is temporary and it is going to get better. But even when it does get better, understand it's not going to stay this good forever as well. Expect some valleys to come ahead as well. I think that's the one thing I'm most proud of. We're flexible and we're tenacious. I think that's what I'm the most proud of, to be honest.
Awesome. I think we as a Black people are flexible and tenacious. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are.
Absolutely.
And
sorry, go ahead. I'm
just
thinking of all the stuff that recently I had to be flexible and tenacious about.
And a lot on your plate recently, lately. I really commend you for finding that balance, because I know everything you have going on, and some days you just want to put it aside, just tired of it, or you're frustrated. So to be able to manage that as well as everything else, I commend you for that. And I appreciate everything that you've done for Waterloo, for the Alliance, for your community, for your family. So I salute you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming down a home stretch, I could talk to you forever, but we'll have plenty of conversation moving forward.
All right.
You've been at Waterloo for a number of years. You're a lifer. You're kind of the poster child. What are we going to do, or what message will we send to the community as we start to work externally to ensure that people have an understanding of what Waterloo can offer to us as individuals?
What messaging? I would say whatever they want to achieve is not as difficult as it might be in their minds. I'd say we need to be braver in exploring certain areas that we thought we weren't welcomed in.
Mm.
For me to go to university, my stepfather, he was a lawyer in Sudan, and my mom, being the overachiever she was, there was an expectation I had to go. There was no, um, and again, there's nothing wrong with being in trades or whatnot or not, but there was an expectation. You need to get good grades, no matter where they take you. You need to try your best. So, living in Ontario, I knew to go to university, they only count your grade 12 marks. And if you want early acceptance, they count your grade 11 marks as well. So from grade 9 to, let's say, grade 11, who knew where I was going to go? As soon as grade 12 came, the marks just skyrocketed. And I got asked by my stepfather, were you always capable of doing this? I was like, yeah. So why weren't you trying so hard? And I just said, there was no reason. Once I reached grade 12, I had a lot of my friends who were in senior ahead of me, who went to Waterloo, who went to Laurier. And then it's all about the athletics department. They would, invite me to come and play pickup basketball or whatever sport with them. And, we would definitely sign in and not sneak in. And so I got to see that environment. And with my parents at home pushing me to try to do the best I can, I was able to strive for that. And so the message, I guess, for the community outside is give it a try, come and explore, come and ask questions. Don't go to an area and see that nobody looks like you and think you won't be welcomed. Even if that's the case, you might be the person who another person will see and say, okay, well, if that person can do it, so can I, right? That would be my message to them. Try something that you don't think you belong in, or you feel that you don't belong in just because you haven't seen representation of somebody who looks like you.
You mentioned your stepfather, giving you some of that advice, and I'm sorry to hear about your father. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. I don't want to touch that subject. I know it's very touchy, but I do want to ask you a question in regards to his influence, and more importantly, why it's important for Black men to have a voice and be that mentor, that voice of reasoning for the younger generation, because it's too many times it's silent, or it's put in the wrong, painted by the wrong picture. You know what I mean? So why is it important to have the representation from a Black male standpoint that is severely lacking?
I think it's important because, especially from male a father to a son, it's very important to have that somebody who's a role model and who looks like a leader in your eyes, regardless of what they're doing. A leader can just be somebody whose words inspires you, right? And their actions also have to inspire you. You can't just say things and do something that's different from what you're saying and expect your words to be listened to. Why is it important? It's because it's somebody you trust. It's somebody, if you fall down, they're the ones who pick you up. So when they say things and when they encourage you, you believe in what they're saying. And then even if you didn't have the confidence yourself, you now will gain the confidence through somebody else believing you. I think that voice from Black males to younger Black youth or kids is very, very important, and it has to get louder too. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, somebody who is your paternal father or whatnot, right? This is my stepfather encouraging me, and it worked. We have a huge Sudanese community over here. A lot of us aren't related, but if I see an older Sudanese gentleman and I'm asked, who is that? That's my uncle, right? Because if he sees me doing something wrong, he will pull me aside and talk to me about it. If he sees that I need help, they will pull me aside and help me. And so I think we just have to recognize that and be thankful to them for being that. But now that we're also getting older. We now have to be those people too. And having grown up here, I think we're positioned to give even better advice and better encouragement on what to do to be successful.
For sure, well said. And with that said, as we mentor our young Black youth, we definitely have to help each other and uplift our Black female population as well, because they're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's our job to make sure we continue to uplift them, because we need them as much as they need us, and the world needs them more than they know.
Exactly. No, 100%. I 100% believe that. And again, like I said, for me, when we talk about power dynamics between males and females, my mom was the one coming home in military fatigue, and my stepdad was the lawyer. So when you think of toughness, she is the tough one. But when you talk to her, you would never, you would never hear that in her voice. It's always positive, always encouraging. Doesn't let anybody down. She came to a few football games actually, so maybe
Nice.
next time I'll introduce you to.
I'd love to meet her for sure.
Yeah, a lot shorter than me though, so you might not see her right away.
Doesn't matter her physical stature. I'm pretty
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll definitely make sure she's in the room.
Absolutely.
Now, would I salute her or do I give her a hug? Kind of what is
Let's find out. I don't know. I never thought of that. I've never considered that.
For sure, And how often you get a chance to see her? Is she in Waterloo as well?
She lives in town. How often do I get to see her? Every time I go to Walmart and buy a case of Tupperware is when I see her.
You get plenty of home cooked meals still. Still spoiled. Okay.
Honestly, the deal we have is actually I'm actually going soon.
Stocking up for the weekend. Okay.
Exactly. Anytime I go, it's, do you have your Tupperware? Yeah, good. Come look what I made. Come look what I made. If not, okay, sit down. Let me fix you a plate.
Awesome.
But yeah, no, she's here in town. Very supportive woman. Like I said, if I'm down, that's who I talk to. And you don't even have to say something's bothering you. Just the tone of your voice, and she knows what's going on. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, I guess, she can draw from a whole different experience of this issue, lifelong battle against racism. So to draw from her perspective and add your perspective and then kind of predict the future that we're trying to change, it must be an amazing to just sit back and listen, That's
I definitely agree.
The best part. Just having these conversations, just the organic nature of the questions and the answers, and just knowing that we're doing this together and we come from different backgrounds, and we both identify as Black, but we're totally different types of Black, like you mentioned earlier. Just knowing that we got each other's back and letting the world know that we have each other's back, and we're trying to extend this thing and make it everlasting and make it sustainable. So when things get back to the new normal, this is what we do. Right? It's not outside the norm.
Absolutely. We're working towards that better future.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, Sadig, it was a pleasure, my man. Like I said, I look forward to having many more conversations like this before. I feel like I got to know you that much more today. Still have lots more to learn, and I'm looking forward to that. And I'm here for you, brother. If you need anything, you got my number. You want to talk shop, chat, somebody to just listen to if you're venting frustrated, having a long bag day, I'm here for you, all right?
All right, I'm gonna take some of the work off Jackie then and pass it on to you now that you made that offer. And obviously the same with me too, right? If you do have those questions, my experience is completely different from yours. And if there's a topic that you think I might understand just a little better, I'm here, I'm all ears,
Thanks, my man. All the best to you for the weekend.
All right,
Soon.
Take care for now.
All right.